Greetings and salutations, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of All Nicked Up. It is Wednesday, July 26th, 2023. And we have a different kind of show planned for you, everyone, tonight. We're gonna have a little fun on this one. The summertime, the news is not exactly robust, although there is one thing that happened, or one thing that I heard today that I do want to talk about. So crap. But yes, we will get to that in a second. Of course, let me, as you know, I don't do this by myself, so let me bring on my esteemed colleagues. Let's bring in Ty, let's bring in Joe, and let's get this thing going. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello,
Hello,
hello.
hello.
How are you?
Well, days of summer, you know how it is.
Man, it is humid up here. Nasty.
Yeah, everywhere, everywhere. It's freaking ridiculously hot. Uh, Not sure what the hell's going on. People won't keep wanting to say that climate change isn't a thing, but
Dinosaurs, no. That's all I'm gonna tell everybody.
yo, seriously. So, so this idea that this show we're gonna do tonight, it was Ty's idea, and it's actually a pretty cool one, pretty interesting one. I don't know about you guys, Ty. I think we've talked about this, but Joe, um, growing up, whenever I got a video game, any of the new sports games, I always just wanted to do like the GM stuff. I wanted to draft the team and do the trades. And so I didn't even care to play. I would just kind of like sim through the season uh, just to do the drafting stuff. I know I'm weird that way, but that's what this is kind of going to be like. I think it's going to be that kind of a thing where we uh, get to wear those hats for a little while. Um, as general managers, team presidents, things of that nature. I think it's going to be a little bit of fun. Okay, guys, so I'll tell you the rules really quickly and what the parameters are. All right, so we have to work with exactly how the team's constituted right now. We can't pull from other teams. I know this isn't 2K where we can do a fantasy draft in the beginning and then just draft the team that we want. No, no. We have to work within the parameters, obviously, of what the current Knicks roster is. Um, Draft picks obviously are in the mix. So if you want to use the draft picks either to draft players or to trade and put together a package for another player, um, we can do that. The one caveat I'm going to put here is if whatever trade you guys propose, you have to propose it to one of us like like we're the opposing GM. So,
It's cool.
right? So I figured that's I didn't tell you guys this, but I was just thinking about it before. All right, so say you guys wanted to trade with the Lakers, I'm Rob Lowe's doppelganger, and you pitch the trade to yeah, and you pitch me the trade, and I'll be the one to decide whether it goes through or not, or what the package I offer, counter offer, and stuff like that. I think that'll be a little bit of fun, another way to mix it up. But before we get into that, there's a little bit of news that came out today. I shared it. I shared it with I think both you guys. It might have been today or yesterday, but I shared it. But this guy just keeps coming back. He keeps wanting to. He's the gift that keeps giving. So Lance Stevenson, folks. Lance Stevenson wants to play in the NBA again, and he said he wants to play for one of the New York teams. He said Brooklyn or the Knicks, but I think he really means the Knicks. I don't think he wants. So I think when I saw this, I laughed, I smiled, I'm like, whatever. But for the fun factor and for the quotes and stuff, I think it'd be a fun signing. Did you guys? I know you saw the story. I don't remember if I shared it. What would you think about adding Born Ready to the
Man,
Knicks?
and I don't think the Knicks would be ready. I can. You know what would be great about this? Not because I think that he would make a great impact. It's just the dynamic between him and Tom Thibodeau. I think would be just made for TV. I can
No,
only
that's a good call.
imagine the post game. He would completely destroy what I called earlier today on the post, the Silence of the Lambs. They would have them never mic'd up ever. So you're picturing like a dude like Dennis Rodman and Meta World Peace combined. I would think that's what you would get with him being on this team. Obviously, he can play. He's more of a street baller. I've always felt more so than
Yeah.
an NBA player, but I could just see him just breaking complete protocol and going full Pat Bev, thinking that he's the best player on the team, and he's going ISO ball. I can only imagine he would blow up every. Not that we run plays in New York, from what I can tell, but whatever the concept about who should be running the play, he would annihilate the playbook. I mean, it'd be pretty damn interesting, that's for sure.
Joe, what do you think about getting him just to be an agitator for like LeBron or like kind of like Pat Bev, like Ty was saying, but just to agitate the best player on the other team? I think. What do you think, strategy wise?
No. All I'm going to say right now is that if you're a professional basketball player and you wind up in the Puerto Rican League, you belong in the Puerto Rican League. Like you didn't wind up there because you went on vacation and decided to hoop a little bit. If you're in the Puerto Rican League,
Fair.
your NBA days are over, your Europe days are over, your Australia days are over. Never been a fan. I don't think. Nah.
Dude, I agree with Ty. He's always been more of like a street baller to me. I do think I've always thought he was very skilled, like a very skilled guy. And I do think that if he had taken himself a little bit more seriously, because one time he was like the top high school player. Like there was one time he was up there. I think if he'd taken himself a little bit more seriously, he would have had a better career. He had a decent career. I mean, let's not laugh and be like, nobody. He did okay in the NBA, but he could have been a lot better. I think that's the thing a lot of people think about him. He had more skill than he actually showed in the league. So, but it was just a fun story, and I was like, this guy just doesn't go away. He keeps popping up here and there. So, and the fact he mentioned
that had rocks in his head.
The fact he mentioned us, which again, this time of year, most teams and players do, but the fact that he did, I just thought it would be cool to bring it up on the show. There's another little bit of news. I didn't tell you guys about this, but I wanted to discuss this a little bit about Bronny. So Bronny James, LeBron James' son, collapsed on the court at USC. They said he went into cardiac arrest. Apparently he's in stable condition. I haven't heard any different updates since I heard that, but it just we've surmised and talked about in the past how we always thought LeBron was taking something, right? Like we don't know what it was, but the fact that he stayed healthy this entire time until like recently without any kind of major injuries and the way he plays basketball was just a little shocking. Now it's very possible he's just that gifted and that like God touched him and said, you're just going to be an athlete. And he's just one of those lucky cases. But I always thought it was aided. And I don't know what happened with Bronny. I haven't heard any of the story. But when someone 18 years old, you hear this, like immediately you think of Hank Gathers. Obviously, that's the most famous one in our lifetime.
Yeah.
You immediately think of him. But it was kind of a shocking story to hear. And you just automatically start thinking supplements, what's he taking, especially nowadays. So Joe, when you first heard the news, what did you think?
Okay, so for those of you that don't know, I'm a registered nurse by background, so I have kind of some understanding of the cardiac system and how it functions. There are a number of ways that this can happen. Dehydration could jack up your potassium level, set your heart off your timing, and you can go into arrest. Energy drinks are nasty. Some people take tons and tons of energy drinks, and you can go from there. People say, well, maybe there was something congenitally wrong with his heart. He was born with some kind of a heart defect, but that usually leads to heart attack and not really arrest. It usually lead to some kind of blockage. I heard somebody on the radio relaying something about post-COVID myocarditis, and which is an inflammation of the heart that happens with folks that have had COVID before. They did a study a while back on Penn State football players that had exposed to COVID, and they got this inflammation of the heart, and that could affect your heart adversely in that way. But I mean, there's a million different things, but an 18-year-old kid, heart just stopping like that, it could be a million things. But again, it could be just as simple as dehydration. I'm glad the young man is okay. I'm glad that it doesn't seem like there's going to be any lasting effects of this. But again, this is something that is a good opportunity for him to kind of retrace and see if anything did contribute to that, and if so, eliminate that from your life. That's about what I've got.
Ty, what were your first thoughts?
When hearing knowing his age, that was the first thing I thought was, unless he had something, from birth that was not disclosed, I thought that something obviously contributed, something he's doing contributed to what happened. I'm going to defer to Joe. He's the professional here. Dehydration obviously could be a part. It can be pretty nasty if you're not hydrated and you're an athlete and all that, et cetera. I tended to think a little bit deeper and more, maybe I'm not trying to be cynical in how I thought about it, but we've often discussed, about his father, not trying to get a lawsuit here by saying or speculating, but, there's not many people and there's not many examples of an athlete lasting as long as LeBron has. Yeah. So I'm going to put it that way. That's the best way of framing it. I think about all the greatest ever. Michael Jordan had kryptonite towards the end with Washington. Ali had kryptonite towards the end of his career. Edwin Moses, was another athlete, went undefeated for the longest time. He got dethroned. I guess you can go Floyd Mayweather as being one of those people who, as you can probably tell, he preserved his career, so to say, and, went out on top. Barry Sanders went out on top, but, he quit early also. Same thing with Jim Brown. So we've never seen guys, and even Tom Brady, we saw him kind of show the signs of obviously aging, which led to his retirement after a while. We've never seen a guy or a female, not just a guy or a female, have this long of a run. We go back and liken to Lance Armstrong. He was the Iron Man clearly, and we found out why he was made of iron. And, I'm just of the mindset, it made me wonder. The first thing I went to probably when talking about this, and I think I shared it with Eric, when I said, I'm wondering, what is he on? Not to try to link the two together. Clearly it could be something else he's on. It could be, like you said, the post-COVID stuff. We're learning about heart conditions with that. I don't know if he got the jab, whatever you want to call it. Maybe those are examples, or maybe he had COVID. There's neurological issues. There's all kinds of different things. So, we're in a bag of tricks trying to narrow it down. But my first thing was thinking, what did he take? That was the first thing I thought was, what did he take? Because at 18, there's a lot of experimental drugs, unfortunately, with these kids. They're not getting pure anything, whatever they think they are. Everything's synthetic. Who's to know? Who's to know? And I'm looking at him. He's a well-built kid, very muscular. He looks very aged for his age. He looks like a grown man body. His facial features does not look like a child. He looks like a grown person, like somebody 30. When you look at his face looks like someone that's a little more advanced. He doesn't have a baby-looking face. He's very chiseled. That was the first immediate thing. He's seen a little bit of an uptick in his career now, too. This guy went from, this young man, I should say, went from not being a starter on his team in high school to suddenly being one of the top recruits, McDonald All-American. Is the hype something that, did he take something to live up to this hype? Because it's a huge hype machine behind him right now. And I'm praying that it's just, a medical condition or a slip up of, like Joe said, he wasn't hydrated, et cetera. But it just seemed a little fishy to me that he, at this age, without any preconditions, at birth or whatever, that he's suddenly having cardiac arrest. It just didn't sit well with me.
I mentioned before energy drinks, but you could probably loop stimulants into that totally. I mean,
Yeah.
that is something that under those conditions can lead to an arrhythmia, which can lead to your heart stopping. So,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was one of the things. That was one of the things I thought of too. I do Ghost energy drinks. I do drink them, not a lot, but every once in a while I will have one. Um, so that one I can at least say doesn't make me jittery, but I've had some in the past that you feel it when you drink it. You feel it immediately. Um, you know, I when I first when I was in high school, going back years, and I played football, there were a lot of things coming out at that time that now we've heard about that weren't good. And they affect the heart. And I remember being offered some of them. I didn't take them, but I remember, there were. I would go to just a normal vitamin store, vitamin shop, GNC, and the guys there would be like, "Yeah, take this." Xenadrin
GHC.
was, yeah, Xenadrin was one of the first ones I remember that was like that. And I remember the first time I took it. Uh, I have a high tolerance to things, so I took the dosage they suggested, and I was like, "This isn't doing squat." So I took more, and oh my god, I literally felt like I could run through walls. That's how much it impacted me, and the boost it gave me. And it just messes with you. And I know that's obviously was my heart. Now I was younger, I was could deal with it, but I was around his age, so I tend to think right away, like Ty, I tend to go to like, what's he on? What's he taking? But then I also think, there might be something that they didn't find when he was younger going on in his heart. And now it shows because there's been people in life that have had that. I know plenty of people who gone through a lot of their life, and then something shows up and it was just missed or they never caught it or whatever. So I'm hoping he's okay. It seems like he is. It seems like he's recovering from whatever it was. And I mean, I don't know if we'll ever hear what it was because, he has a career to protect.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we'll ever get the full story, but, again, I probably wouldn't even have brought it up if it wasn't Bronny, but obviously, LeBron being basically for the last 20 years.
It was shocking to see that on ESPN.com. I had to do like a triple take with that. Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was
I didn't believe it. Yeah.
When I first saw it, I saw someone was posting something on social media that somebody I know who's a hoop fan. And when they said it, he's not the biggest LeBron fan. So I was like, well, what's going on? I thought it might be some spoofy thing. They're talking about Bron or whatever. And then when I read it, I'm like, wait a minute. I said, this is serious. So I Googled, and to find out what was going on. And I said, cardiac arrest. And I'm telling you, the first Spidey sense that went was, what did he take? I mean, I'm not trying to be, we all make mistakes when we're young. We make them when we're old. It's not about, trying to, put a label on the kid or, link what we might believe about what his dad is doing to him. It's just 18 and this happening it was very shocking. And then it just went right back. I mean, the streets is the streets. Anybody who knows about what's going on out there nowadays, one little minor digestion of the wrong anything, and you can go a little haywire. So, it could be his recreational habits. I mean, who knows? I mean, everything's on the table because they're not. I guarantee you, we probably hear nothing about why. The only thing we want to hear about that he's better, which is a great thing, and that's a blessing that he got another shot at life. The truth will be somewhere, on the cutting edge of the floor because ESPN is not going to ever give this the full investigative take on it, or it's going to take some journalists to really dig maybe a little bit deeper. We've heard even with the guy who was he from the UFC that was talking about LeBron that was connected to, we had the same dealer, so to say, that was giving him the enhancements, and that just went good. It's like you would think that'd be one of the bigger stories they hear in sports, and it just went away. It just went completely away. We never heard anything about that after. And Eric knows I wrote an article about the Balco situation several years ago. I did a blog on that, and there were links to, you know, little evidence there, and you never heard anything about that, So I don't know. I just think that, hearing that kind of news and having somebody the stature of LeBron being anywhere connected to it, Disney's not going to like that. Disney's not going to share that with us. And I'm more than sure Adam Silver would love for this to go away. So
That's Craig, by the way, obviously.
I would have never thought that.
But no, I mean, again, I brought up Hank Gathers, who died from something similar, but then Len Bias died from taking cocaine, right? He had a heart attack. But
Yep.
So, we've had in our lifetime, all three of us, we've had experience of some basketball players doing this. So it's easy for us, or not easy, but it just makes sense for us to think about those things because we've heard about it in life. And Joe, you even more because you've dealt with it in your career. So, it's easy. It's just easier for us to go there. Okay, so let's get to the virtual GM. So that's what we're going to call it. So what would you do? All right. So I'll lay the groundwork again. We have to stick with the parameters that were given that the Knicks have currently. So all their players, their picks, we have to deal with the current situation as is. I believe they have 7 of their own first round picks and then 4.
It's 11 all
trades, right? Yeah.
And four of the mixed bag of
yes. So, Ty, since this was your idea, I'm going to let you kick this off.
I'm coming in with the full wrecking ball. Okay. So I even wrote this down. This is way different. Damn notes. I came on, I sat at the table. I'm like, I'm going to sketch this damn thing out, which is kind of crazy for me. Usually I'm going off the memory, but welcome to the Tyrone Booker era of basketball operations for the New York Knicks. I'm happy to take the job.
Oh, hold on. We'll talk about it real quick. Hold on. Will you be speaking to the press?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Always bet on black in this situation. We're coming out of the darkness these days. I'm going to bring it all
that's something. Yeah, that's something else that happened today, but we'll get to that later. We'll talk about that after.
The public deserves to know. The people. I got to speak to the people.
Thank you.
And the people's with a Z. Let's just keep it a buck.
Because Leon, before you, man, he was not speaking to us.
See, because Leon was like the movie actor Leon. He's all smooth and laid in the back. I don't know if y'all know who Leon is, but that's all his name is Leon. That's who his Leon is. He's put the mute button on, doesn't say anything. We need Mike Breen here to narrate. But damn it, I'm the new one, and I'm just going to speak the truth to the peoples. Because New York needs the peoples. First order of business is that I'm coming in and I'm cleaning complete house. That's the first thing. First domino to fall. The coach got to go. He got to go. He's got to go. He's got to go. He's got to go. That'd be my first move as PPO. I'm firing Tom Thibodeau. Now, people might kick back on who I'm going to say, who am I going to hire? And this one's going to be out of left field for a lot of people. Well, maybe not Eric. Eric probably knows. I've mentioned this person's name before. And I know it's going to get a lot of kickback from people. I'm going to the Greg Popovich tree, and I'm hiring New York's very own, well, technically by proxy, Becky Hammon's going to be running that coach.
Okay.
That's going to be my new coach. We're going to break down the walls. We're going to put somebody here who actually knows what the hell they're doing for once, because she can coach her butt off. She's got a great resume. She's been an assistant to Pop for the longest time. Probably should be the predecessor to Pop, but we know how that's going to go. Pop's going to stick around, be with Wemby.
He just signed a new contract.
Yeah, signed a new contract. Becky ain't had a damn chance. But Becky, I'm willing to give you a chance in New York. You played for the Liberty. You got chops about the game. You've won a couple of summer league titles. I know that might not mean a lot to people, but she did win during the summer league. I mean, so that means that the men are willing to listen to her. She knows what the hell she's doing.
Fair.
And everyone who always talks about any type of coach that is coaching, they said players believe when they can trust that the coach knows what he or she is doing. And I definitely believe Becky knows what the hell she's doing. So that's the first order. We're wheeling her out. And yes, we're having a press conference in New York because, damn it, we're going to put her at the podium and let her tell us what her vision is and how thankful she is to be the new New York Knicks head coach and breaking down the walls. That's the first move. So then we roll back the cameras. We let the press do whatever they want to do. Then I take that hat off and put on another hat. We're getting right to the gut of the problems in New York. I have 2 trades.
I know one of them, but go ahead.
No, well, you know one is coming, but this might shock you because we're talking about trying to build a contender. That's what the whole thing is about. Building a competitive team that can be a contender.
Yes.
And the first person I'm calling is someone that the Knicks fans are like, don't you call him. Don't you dare call this dude. This is not the dude you want to call. Because how many times are you going to let him get at you? Which is fine. I'm calling Toronto. That's my first call. Jerry, me and you right here. We're going to lock some horns.
Okay, which one of us is Jerry, me or Joe?
I'm gonna give it to Joe. You know why I'm gonna give it to Joe? Because I think
I gotta break out the horns.
Joe would get the block here. I think Joe would say, nah, he wouldn't take the deal. Hear me out, Joe. I'm calling you.
The man's the devil.
I'm hitting the Maxwell smartphone from my shoe, and I'm calling you up. I'm like, hello there, Mr. Ujiri. This is new PBL. What, BBL, whatever I'm on. You know what the hell I'm on. That's what I appreciate. I'm proposing a trade to you because you have somebody on your roster that I'm pretty interested in that you're now sitting with who you really don't have a real true home for him yet because he is actually, I believe, pending free agent coming up. And that guy is Pascal Siakam.
That guy's who?
Pascal Siakam. Or as he knows is, what do you call him? Spicy P. You can't bring that to New York.
That's awful.
He can't bring that nickname to New York.
That's awful.
Can he leave the name in Toronto when we trade for him? That's all.
I think there's a spicy P tax coming into this trade, but go ahead.
You're gonna have to put that nickname in a fish somewhere and then let it go into Lake Ontario and
God.
Drop it in the Hudson or on sewer. I don't know. That damn thing got to go. However, my proposal is that you don't have a home for this guy because, one, you might not want to keep him. He wants an extension. You might not want to pay him because right now you're not at a championship level team. You have a nice piece in Scotty Barnes, but you signed Dennis Schroeder, which is one of your issues, is that you don't have a point guard. That's the first thing. Yeah. So I'm going to offer you up somebody that can be also a replacement for not only Siakam for the next several years. I'm going to also offer you your new starting point guard. The only thing I'm asking you to do is when you give me back Siakam, I want Gary Trent to be included. But my kicker to you is I'm going to give you some first-round unprotected. No protection on them. The caveat, you're taking back Julius Randle. So my trade is Julius Randle. You get some cap relief with Evan Fournier, plus Emmanuel Quickly. I'm going to give you 2 unprotected first-round picks of ours for Pascal Siakam and Gary Trent.
That's not bad. That's not bad. The salary should probably match up pretty well.
Oh, it works in Trade Machine. It works. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Unprotected, by the way.
I don't hate Randall as much as I think a lot of people, so I would probably seriously consider it. I'm going to give a call to Atlanta, though, and see what they have to offer because I know they're looking at Pascal Siakam, too. So to get that off the phone, get me off the phone there, is there anything else you would throw into that?
I'm going to give you the first-round pick to Milwaukee's protected.
Okay, what are the other two? What's the other pick?
Jesus Christ. Go ahead.
2 of ours. You get 2 of ours.
2 of ours and Milwaukee.
And Milwaukee.
You're good.
I
Sign me
think I'm
up.
having a heart attack.
We haven't got to my second move yet. That's what it is.
Okay.
Jesus.
So that's three
So, we
for
good on that? So right now we have exiting New York, Julius Randle, Evan Fournier, and we have Manuel Quickly. So we no longer have a guard glut. We don't got to pay Emmanuel, which is redundant because you have 2 guys ahead of him, which is Josh Hart and you got Dante DiVincenzo. Because once again, these guys have to stay. You can't trade them anyway. So that's my thinking behind getting rid of IQ in this trade.
Mhm.
So we're moving forward because I'm an aggressive GM. Eric knows I don't love anyone. I really don't. I will. The only one I won't trade is my mama because I love her. But everybody else is getting off the damn team.
I'm
My
ready to
next
pick up.
now I gotta hang out with you, Jerry. You know, whatever. Can they A? Some Maple Leaf syrup. We're out of here. We're out of the Maple Leaf country. Moving on. I'm going to go call. Well, it's a place I wanted to visit for a long time. It's called Willie Mae Scotch House. If you don't know, that's in Nolens. I'm calling up the Griff.
I kind of look like him. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, that was great. He put the spectacles on, brother. We playing the parts here. There's a lot of cosplay going on here. Let me tell you. I know we got to tan Joe a little bit because he got to look. We didn't fit the Ujiri aesthetics there, but we're getting there, brother. We're getting there. It was like Soul Man. You got to take those pills. That movie would get so blasted nowadays. By the way, anyway, I digress. So I'm calling up. I'm trying to find some beignets for really not Frank Ntilikina beignets, but some real beignets. I'm calling out Nolens, and I know most people would think I'm calling Nolens for someone, but I'm not calling for that person. So I'm calling David Griff. Answer the bat phone. The bat phone. Yo. It's New York tie. This is New York tie. I got the first trade out the way, so I'm New York tie now. I got to change my nickname. So I'm New York tie. Calling out Nolens. And I realized that you may have some fat you want to trim in New Orleans. Yeah.
Interesting choice of words.
Yeah, interesting choice. And you know you can't trim that fat because you just gave him a lot of damn money. And nobody in the world is really going to trade for him for your asking price, first and foremost. And you need him to actually keep that franchise alive. So I'm not calling about Zion. I don't care about Zion. He can sit down there, eat all the Willie Mae's chicken I can't get to right now. I'm calling about another guy on your team who got about 2 more years left on his contract. And I know you. He's one of the most prolific, nice, young, small forwards in the league. And I realize you really love this dude. I would love him too. And I'm going to make you a very sweet offer for him. But there's one guy I want, and that's Brandon Ingram. That's who I want on this team. And I'm going to throw together a package for you. My package is going to be to the Pelicans. I'm going to offer up someone to help Zion that he'd love to be in New Orleans for a long time with. I'm going to send you R.J. Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, Quentin Grimes, 4 unprotected picks.
4?
4 unprotected for Brandon Ingram and Kira Lewis.
Hold on.
Eric, that face was priceless. If
you gonna call me?
Caught you for a second. You froze.
You gonna send it? You gonna send it?
So. Let me get this.
3 that Joe got.
Ingram and Lewis. So you want Ingram and Lewis for RJ, Robinson, Grimes, and then 4 unprotected first round picks?
4 unprotected of ours.
Yours.
You send him.
You know what? You know what? Yeah, I would do it. If I was them, I would do it.
You're gonna send them to me because that's a lot
Yeah.
of picks. And you're getting basically RJ, so that's a 5th first round pick. He's number 3, all in the draft class. He's going to help your buddy down there who's don't want to get off this. Clearly is on the pH channel too much, and also not in the gym enough. If you don't know what pH is, it definitely has nothing to do with the balance in water. Needless to say, his recreational habits, he needs someone who's a professional who he would love to be with and would incentivize him to really stay in New Orleans for at least the next 4 or 5 years, because they would be a great tandem. They play together. They're brothers. Only thing I'm asking
you don't have to sell me on that. I mean, I think RJ, for the Zion factor of having his friend with him, I think could be helpful. So I don't think you don't have to sell me on that. But the reason I'm doing it is for the picks. That's the reason.
Yeah,
Mitchell Robinson gets to go home.
Mitch goes home.
Yeah, I mean, if everyone's healthy, that's a team that can, in my opinion, that's a team that could challenge in the West.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would do that trade, and I have 4 first-round picks coming. And you guys might suck now because, I mean, I don't know who you're signing with your newfound cap space, but I mean.
Really, it's not. You're kind of locked in because this is my new starting 5. Being that you guys checked it in the Eastern Conference, I kept Jalen. That's the only one I would keep. To be very honest, he's a star, and he's a star, and maybe he can elevate into something even more than a star. Siakam fits better next to him than Randall would. So now my starters are going to be Hardenstein. I don't really care about the rim protection that Thibodeau cares about. Now my team is longer. That's the key thing, and more athletic. My 5 now is Isaiah Hartenstein. It's going to be Gary Trent Jr. It's going to be Brandon Ingram. Jalen Brunson, clearly. What do I got? I got Brunson, Ingram, Siakam, Trent, Hartenstein. That's my 5 in the East. My bench play is now Hart, DiVincenzo, McBride, Sims, and I'm bringing up the kid Windler. And I'm going in the East and see what the hell we can do. Ingram's better than anybody I traded.
35 wins.
I'm going better than
that's my opinion.
Because Siakam can come off the books next year.
I don't like the bench. That's the problem.
You don't like the bench? That would be my grade. The bench is weak, but we don't have a great bench now. If we won 45 with what the team we had last year, I'm thinking we are a way more.
And so you just got rid of the coach that would have played the starters 40 minutes a game. So
I don't want to do 40 minutes. And also McBride is on the bench also.
Yeah, no. I like that. I do. I'm a big fan of Dante's as well, and obviously Hart gives you a lot of different things. But who's your front court? Who are you bringing in? I mean, I like Sims, but
I do Sims, Hardenstein, but the 4 is going to be Siakam. So it's going to be Hardenstein, Siakam at the 4, Brandon Ingram at the 3.
He's the only
Brunson at the 1. And Gary Trent at the 2.
All right. So he's the only, Siakam's the only part of it that I don't really love. I'm not the hugest fan. I think he's good, but
I'm not either. But I don't love Julius. He's got to go. You're not being a competitive championship contender with Julius Randle. Brunson is the dude, and you can always come off of him later. You can trade Siakam.
I think monetary wise, because Ingram hasn't that second post rookie deal yet, so you're gonna have to make that decision. But I do think that from a cap standpoint, that it's not a terrible team.
I like Brandon. I just think he's one of those.
I just think that
I would love him on the Knicks.
And you have no picks left now.
No picks. I don't like our picks, so that's the reason why I was willing to give up the picks.
Okay.
I don't see our picks being. We're not getting in a lottery unless God forbid three guys break their legs. I mean, we don't have that kind of luck. When the last time the Knicks was in a lottery? Twice. KP and RJ. We don't get in the lottery. We've a notorious franchise for never getting our guy. We get later picks because you can take the second round picks, and if you keep, I only got rid of Thibodeau. I didn't get rid of Brock Aller and the other guys because those guys will know how to go. For one thing, know how to draft. What's his name? I can't think of his name from Utah that we use. But those guys can draft. It's not about finding the diamonds in the rough. You need guys that can be a starting five that can cause a little bit more havoc offensively. Siakam, you can play a faster paced game. Running up and down the court. He's also got a ring. And Gary Trent is very underrated. That'd be my moves as GM. Now, would they want to tar and feather me? Probably because all their picks are gone. But those picks don't mean nothing to me. I don't think they are going to translate and be great.
Well,
no matter what.
But the other pushback I'm going to give you is you better win a championship.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm going to get fired anyway. I'm going to get fired. You're going to get fired. I didn't say like I'm there forever. I'm not going to get a statue. I'm just saying I want a winning. So everybody, look, Leon's going to get fired. Don't get it wrong. He's going to get fired. It's a point. But at least I'm not holding on to 8 picks. They won't translate into nothing but in the 20s the whole rest of the time that he's here. No, I'm not going to do that.
All right. So, Joe, I'm giving you the floor. So you can now reshape the roster how you want.
Okay. The first thing I'm doing is firing anybody that had any professional connection to CAA. Not anybody that was a client. Leveling the playing field. Clutch, CAA, all clients come. You're all welcome. We have no predispositions. Get rid of Worldwide West and his Kentucky connections. We don't care about that. We care if you can ball. We don't care where you come from. We don't care where you do business. All are welcome. So I'm not firing Thibodeau right away, but what I'm doing is pulling all of the brain trust into the conference room and saying, we get off to a bad start and it can float. We're getting rid of him at the trade deadline. If not, we're getting rid of him in the offseason. So we have to start evaluating what our potential options are right now. And I have a series of questions for those candidates. What would you do with Randall? And if he doesn't toe the line or he doesn't fall in line, how are you going to handle that? Second of all, what are you going to do with RJ? Randall, his sins are well documented. We know about Randall. We're going to be talking for the rest of this show about Randall in one way or another. I think the failures of Randall are failures of leadership. I do. I think he has not been held accountable. I think he reminds me of like this whole situation reminds me of like parents that let their kids eat whatever they want and then wonder why they're fat. They got diabetes. It's they're letting him play however he wants to play. He's jacking up 8 threes a game. There's no structure around him. There's no philosophy on how to use this guy. And I think that's on leadership, personally. I'd be interested to see what the candidate had to say as far as what they were going to do with Randall, because I stick to my guns. We are going to trade him one day, and it's going to be a trade that's beneficial, but he is not going to be part of a package right now for a big piece. We're going to have to live with him for a while. So that's really what I'm doing in the front office. I only have one trade, and it is not a trade to swing for the fences. It's an incremental trade, and it's a trade that I think makes us better on the path to better competition. And I am going to call up GM James Jones from the Phoenix Suns. Ty? Would you do the honors?
I got the right hue. So
My proposal. We
what's
want
going
DeAndre.
on, Upstate Joe? This is James Jones, Phoenix Suns. What you got for me, partner?
We're interested in DeAndre Ayton. So
Oh, that bum?
my proposal here. I'm sorry, you keep freezing. I didn't catch that.
I said that bum. Oh, you called about him? Go on.
I am going to offer you Emmanuel Quickly, Mitchell Robinson, and Evan Fournier. With DeAndre's trade kicker kicking in, there'll have to be a minor salary that's put in, but we can work that out. That's my trade offer.
No picks.
I was waiting. I thought he froze. I'm like, where's the picks?
I'm negotiating.
Well,
All right, so go ahead. So counter.
I don't like this bum that you're trying to take off my hands. And trust me, he's a bum. Yeah, he's a lazy bastard and got money value. However, he was the number one pick at one point. You're trying to give me Mitchell Robinson, who I like. He'll fit in, won't need the ball. Manuel Quickly might take the ball home and run to France with it. I don't know. So, I don't really need a point guard because that's another scorer. Yeah, I'm probably gonna want to pick. I think I'm gonna want one of those picks because I gave up all my picks to Brooklyn. Both you New York people ain't gonna be taking me over all my picks. I'm getting a little tired of y'all coming. Oh, I'm sorry, I went off script. I think I'm gonna want one of those couple of those sweetness there. You got something over there. You got 11 picks. You got 11. I'm gonna need at least
just so you can save face with the fan base, we're gonna offer you Washington.
What's that? Hold on, the static's coming here. I'm sorry. What did you say, New York?
Just to save face, we're gonna offer you Washington's pick.
Washington's pick.
That's not bad.
It's not too bad. Milwaukee would be better though.
I bet Milwaukee would be better.
You're getting Ayton. He's a bum, but I mean, he's a good bum.
And you're getting a bench. You have no bench right now.
Yeah, I don't have a bench. No. I got ball. I might not need bench.
Ball's going to be a starter now.
Out of here.
I might not need bench. Yeah, I'm negotiating. It's James Jones, bitch. You know how this. But go on.
I would have hung up on you by now. Yeah, whatever. I'm out. Call me back when you're serious, Clay. Oh.
You throw that Milwaukee in and call me back.
I'm holding the line on that one. That's as far as I'll go with that one.
Let's see what we got. Evan Fournier. We're sending him back to France because nobody wants him apparently because he doesn't play defense. According to Cicerani. But
let me break this down and sell it to you. Okay, you have no point guard on your entire team. Emmanuel Quickly is the closest thing to a point guard you will have. You are going to be starting a shooting guard essentially as your point guard. So he gets to be up your 1 and 2. You have Evan Fournier come in, and that's shooting off the bench. He comes off the books. That money goes to re-signing Quickly, and you stay right at about the same part of your cap. Secondly, Ayton did not like his role in the offense last year, and you just added Bradley Beal to that. He's not going to touch the basketball. He's going to be a problem. We're giving you Mitchell Robinson, who's going to improve your defense, of which you have none. And also, he does not need the ball at all, which is really, really good when your offense is flowing through Kevin Durant and the rest of those guys.
See, you cut yourself short. You know why? Because you said I needed a point guard, and I got Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. I don't need a point guard. I need that, but I need one of those picks. Because they're coming through. Quickly never see the ball ever again. He won't. Not with those three dudes. He'll never see the ball unless he's going to motels and reopen it.
Nope. We are holding on that offer.
Mm.
If not, we will take our ball and go home.
Yeah, you might be taking that ball in a minute quickly and going home because he'll never touch the ball in Phoenix. However, I do like Mitch. So here's my counter. You can give me Ev. You can give me Mitch. I don't want IQ. He does nothing for me. But you ain't gonna give me a pick. You might gotta give me Grimes.
That was the last offer I'm making.
None of you reached in service.
You have reached.
Absolute last offer I'm making.
Wow.
All that ain't worth it to me.
I think
No, I
Grimes.
respect it.
I respect you holding your ground, but I would want Grimes over quickly. It's just simple because
Oh yeah,
they don't
I don't want to give up.
They don't
want
need
to give
another
up
ball hog. They need somebody who can shoot to come off the bench. I do believe Devin was playing. In all honesty, all jokes aside, Devin was playing point guard for them when Paul was out. He thought he was serviceable. I don't like him in that position. Don't get me wrong.
No,
but Beal can play point guard.
They both can.
They're both good at running an offense. That's why I'm like, quickly wouldn't do it. Grimes would really do it for me. I do like the Ayton choice, though. I think Ayton or Mitch would be a plus for the Knicks if they could get him.
I look at it this way. One of the reasons I wouldn't want to give up Grimes is I'm looking at this as like a tiered team. I'm thinking, okay, you have Randall and the Villanova guys all around the same age, and you're building a second core on the bottom between RJ, Ayton, and Grimes. Now, one of the things that's good about getting Ayton too is every expensive deal that I've talked about, the core that has to be RJ, because you're not going to get Randall in that trade, and you're not trading Brunson. Now, you add another $30 million player in there. If RJ winds up in this combo forward role and prospers, and you don't want to get rid of RJ, you can now build a package instead around Ayton. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get where you're
going. Down the road that you want to keep RJ and that RJ has blossomed, you have an option other than RJ to build a package around for a big ticket star. Ayton, you're going to lose the rim protection, but I'm with you, Ty. I don't care much about the rim protection. He's got moves around the basket. He can hit free throws. He can do a little fadeaway jumper. I've seen the guy throw hooks. He's got an offensive game. We have a black hole at that 5 position offensively, and it is bad. Getting somebody in there like him who could just punch the clock, come in and give you 18 and 10 would go a long way with improving this team. So that's why I targeted Ayton anyway.
I'm gonna be real with you. Full transparency. I went through several iterations of a trade, and one of them was Mitchell Robinson for Ayton. That was one of the ones. I was trying to figure out a package to build around that because I know people don't like DeAndre Ayton. You know, maybe he's a bit of aloof. I don't know. I just know when looking at Mitch is an answer for a backup. This is not dogging the dude. He's a tough player. I spoke highly of him in some of those games where he gutted out those free throw shots and came up clutch. I like Mitch. And Mitch is, he's a homegrown. I got nothing but love for him, but he's a backup. In this league of offense, he's a backup or a replacement guy, a guy who can be replaced because Nerlens Noel got an extension based on replacing him. So he's not like he's some great novelty that you can't get again. That's why I would definitely go after Ayton over him.
I think also the thing that scares me with Robinson, I talked about this a couple of shows ago, is he's not fluid the way he runs, his gait, everything, his foot injuries that he's had. I just look at both of those guys and think sell high. And I know Phoenix was interested in Quickly at one point. I would make that trade. I would make an image. Jason Brown, who's a frequent contributor to our fan page.
Oh, I was thinking Jalen Brown.
Back and forth with this trade. a little bit. I know he hates the idea. In all due respect, Jason, thank you for your contributions. I like the trade personally, if it could go through. I wouldn't give up more picks with it. The idea is I would want to keep the picks.
I just think, and I'm half joking, but in all seriousness, when we're playing the phone game, but Phoenix would not want IQ because of the dynamic of them not needing. They don't need another guy who wants the ball. But however, I do believe in your philosophy why you're going after Ayton. I do like the core of that because the 5 was a terrible position. Whether people want to say how many rebounds, like I'm of the mindset with Mitchell Robinson, because I'm not one of those Knicks fans that get all enamored about I'm in love with a player. I'm in love with winning. I want a title. That's the only thing I ever care about. That's why I came in with the wrecking ball. It was like I just want to compete for a ring at some point. I'm not caring about the whole cosmetic and the assets we have. Trade all that garbage and get the right player here, as far as I'm concerned, because that's what we all are waiting for is the opportunity to play for a championship. But looking at what we have with Mitch, who I love, but I trade him on the first Greyhound going out of whatever, because he's not an answer to what we'll need in order to win a championship. I would trade out Ayton because Ayton's a talent. He's 18 and 10. And I think he's getting a block and 1.2 or 2 assists a game. That's more than what Mitch can ever give us right now, because Mitch does not have an offensive bag at all. So we're salivating over a guy, and not to belittle him, but we're salivating over keeping a guy who barely gets a double-double. And
he only plays 28 minutes a game. Like he would have a double-double if he played 35 minutes a game.
You can't put him on. You can't put him on the court when the game's in line and put the ball in his hands because he can't put him to the free throw line.
He can't hit free throws, and he doesn't have. And I agree with Eric. His minutes is a huge issue, but I just think when you got a guy and you're talking about somebody who's a specialist, and maybe this it's hard for me to talk bad about these guys because the coach we have. I don't know what the potential of any of these guys are. I just know what we see, what they're asked to do with this coach. So that's the only way I kind of really can look at him. But I think you have to have talent that usurps what Tom Thibodeau's limitations are. And if you're not a guy who is capable of doing what maybe a DeAndre Ayton is, of going in and being able to give the 18 points and the 10 boards without having plays called for him or being talented enough to make your own shot. It's just with Mitch, if you're going to pay a guy to be your center, he has to be Rodman, in my opinion. I think he has to be Rodman. He's got to be a defensive stalwart, and he's also got to be a rebound king. That's the way I look at how I think Mitch Robinson, if we're going to say we have a guy out on the court who's a specialist, he needs to be a damn good specialist and an elite one. And I just think you can put anyone in that role how Tom plays them, and they'll get the same results. I don't think he does anything special that no other center couldn't do if you're playing, the Dikembe Mutombo 1985 NBA Live, because that's really what the role he's playing, like a traditional old big.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He only makes 15. He only makes 15 a year, though. I mean, he is very well. I would say that about all the contracts that the Knicks have signed so far. Yeah. They're very good market contracts.
All of them are.
Yeah, so I can't argue with that. All right, so I guess it's my turn.
Yeah, you're gonna blow it up, but go on.
All right, so I was thinking about this and how actually I would go about it. Obviously, I'm gonna get rid of the coach as well. I would hire Kenny Atkinson in a minute. That's the coach I wanted from the beginning. That's the guy I'd bring back here. He would be my head coach. Bring him back here, give him whatever staff he wants, whatever assistant coaches he needs. I would promote Brock Aller to GM. He would be my general manager. And then I would finally elevate Allen Houston to be like assistant GM or something, because I just feel like it's about time. Like he's been the Westchester Knicks GM for a while. So that would be the internal housekeeping I would do in the front office. As far as roster, now you guys know and I said this last week, so I kind of tipped my hand. I'm for tearing it down completely. and keeping the young guys. So anyone under 25 is possibly safe with me. Anyone over, except for Brunson. Brunson, I would consider keeping unless the deal was right. So I mean, my brain now is to keep him. Simply because we just got him, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of value there. And he's young enough that you can bring along a young team and have him as being the guy. But the trade I want to make is one that I didn't want to make for one purpose, but now I'm revisiting it because of his contract. So I would call the Clippers and I would offer them Randall quickly and either 2 or 3 picks, and it could be any of the picks they wanted. I really don't care, for Paul George. Paul George has 2 years left in his contract. So for me, it would be just, I want to clear the salary off the books, get everyone out of the way quickly. I don't want to re-sign anyway. I don't, because this is just not a fan. And that'll be it. Just a couple of the picks, So whichever one of you wants to be Trent Redden, you're a brand new GM. So I know originally, whichever guy here, Joe, I'll pick you. So I know originally you wanted like 3 or 4 picks for Paul George, but let's be honest, he's old. No one's going to give you that. That's why no one else has made that offer. I'm just being honest with you right now. You might be new to the game here. Maybe I'm taking to you a little condescending. I'm just trying to help you out. You're a brand new GM. You're not going to get that big an offer for him. And no one's going to give you those kinds of picks. Don't talk to me about Minnesota either with Rudy Gobert. I don't want to hear any of that nonsense. That was crazy. We both know it. Let's be real. But let's just be real on this, right? So I'll give you about 3 picks and the 2 players I mentioned for Paul George. You're welcome to counter.
Sub RJ in and add another pick. I don't like Randall in that deal.
I said 2. I'll give you 4 picks, but I want to keep Randall in the deal.
Randall's a non-starter.
You don't have a power forward. He's a 2-time All-NBA player.
We're getting rid of Paul George and taking picks back to rebuild. We want somebody younger in the deal. We're not
You're
doing
getting
that.
4 picks. He's 27 years old. You're getting 4 first-round draft picks. And Paul George is 32 and makes $45 million a year. You know he's going to want to extend after this contract.
Yep.
So you're tying yourself to him.
If we're getting rid of Paul George, we're not playing for this season. And substituting. What we're looking at right now is if we're making this drill, what you have to offer right now is picks. And if we are in the market for picks and giving one of our best players for picks, then we're not playing for now. We're playing for the future. And Randall,
but you still have Kawhi Leonard, so you are playing for now.
If we're moving Paul George, we're looking for other avenues to move Kawhi Leonard too, because that's blowing it. You're not keeping Paul George. You're not keeping Paul George. You're not getting rid of Paul George.
Okay.
Substituting him with Randall and picks and remaining competitive. You're not going to be on the same level.
Okay, so here's this. So I'll revise my package. I will give you 2 players I mentioned: Grimes, Mitchell Robinson, plus 3 first-round picks for Paul George and Kawhi Leonard.
I'm sorry, you got to repeat that.
Sorry, it's my New York way. I'm talking too fast. All right, so I said I will give you.
My Wi-Fi isn't catching up with it.
Oh man, okay. So I said I will give you Randall quickly, Mitchell Robinson, Quentin Grimes, 4 first-round picks for Kawhi Leonard and Paul George.
No.
Wait, hold on. I gotta look at this.
That is not close to equal value.
But I thought you're rebuilding. But you just told me you're rebuilding. So what does that matter?
Did you say 4?
Because we could get much more out of that in the open market if we were to turn around and put both of those guys on the open market. We would get a lot more than that package
from Oklahoma City, because they're the only other team that has the assets. And I don't even think George has already played there. They're not going to want him back.
young players could also be a part of that as well.
They're not going to trade you Shea and Giddey and Chet.
We're not talking about specifically Oklahoma City. We're talking about opening it up to the league.
Yeah, but who else has the amount of assets to offer you for that? A similar package.
You're one of those major players in there is Julius Randle.
Like, does that work? I'm gonna check this one.
You're not giving us Randle and getting Kawhi Leonard or Paul George back in that deal.
But wait a minute. Hold on a second. So you don't want to give me a guy who. Let's talk about Kawhi real quick. Let's talk about Kawhi. I'm just going to bring this up. The guy plays when he wants to play, takes himself out of games constantly, takes off whenever the heck he wants, and you're okay with that.
Then what do you want?
You're a brand new GM. You are trying to make your name in this league. You are trying to do something. I feel like Kevin Costner in the NFL draft movie. All right. What's your problem with Julius Randle?
If this GM made that deal, we'd be dragging this guy for the next 5 years. He would let the guy from Minnesota off the hook for the Rudy Gobert trade.
You know what? It depends. It really, I'm just speaking now as a fan. It really depends on what they were doing. Like you said, if they're really doing this, obviously they're trying to rebuild. So I don't think it would matter as much.
They want to package around RJ.
They would probably want like 10 picks. I would never offer that. That's the thing.
Young players and picks. Randle doesn't fit in that calculus for them.
That's fair. And don't even try and throw Westbrook into the trade. I don't want that. But no, I would do something like that. Like it would be something like that.
Randle is a good player on a good contract.
Exactly.
But he's not going to be the centerpiece of something now for a very big player. He's not going to be the centerpiece of that kind of deal. And in the situation, Randle is the centerpiece of that, of what we're offering them.
No, the picks would be the centerpiece of the deal. Yeah. That's what you're making the trade for.
Yeah, definitely.
You're not making the trade for him because his contract's also up in 2 years.
If you get rid of those players, you have no use for Randle. So you almost need more picks for the fact that you're taking Randle in that deal. Randle's useless to you in that scenario. Randle's a now player.
But so are the two guys you're trading.
Your rebuild around Julius Randle. It's not going to happen.
Well, he's 27. The other two are 32, 30, 31, and 32.
You're not starting a rebuild with Julius Randle on your team.
But you wouldn't have to. That's the thing I'm telling you, because his contract is also up in 2 years. So you wouldn't be doing it to have him. He would just be the guy there for now.
I thought we got 3 more years of Randle, don't we?
2.
Isn't it 4 years?
2 more.
2 more years?
Yeah, he had a 4-year extension, if I'm not mistaken. And that 4-year it started in the MIP year. No, not the MIP. Yeah, I think it was the MIP year is when he was.
No.
Or the year after.
Well, the third year is a player option. So you're right, Joe. It is 3 more years, but the third year is a player option. And if he has another All NBA season, he's not taking that.
He's opting out of that. He's not. Brunson's going to opt out in 2 more years too. They're opting out.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing about me. And that's the crazy thing about me off wanting those 2 guys. Like I don't want Paul George and Kawhi Leonard for them. I just want to. I love Kawhi Leonard when he's on and he's playing. Yes, he's one of my favorite players to watch.
And Paul George too. Paul George is a great player.
But I don't want them. If I'm tearing it down, I want to just use their large salaries to clear off the other guys. Yeah, that's it. And that's a team. Like I said, the only thing with them is Ballmer's very involved, and he's a different kind of owner. So that's the only. The other guy I was thinking I was going to put a package around Luka because I'm like, let me see if I could get Luka somehow. But after that would probably, I think that would take every pick that they have.
Yeah, he would ask for everything. And
he would ask for everything.
Said he'd ask for Dolan's Dome also in Vegas. He wouldn't. Luka's not. I wish. I mean, I wish the relationship was good there. I mean, because I do believe Luka is out in another year or two. That's just me.
Yeah.
But I think he has 2 more years, even if it's 2 years. I think he's got a 4-year extension. So he would definitely be the guy that I think he's out. I think he can't force his way anywhere. That's the thing. He's like how Donovan Mitchell was. You know, you still got too many years to force, so you can ask for a trade, but they're going to center it around a package, which would probably be Oklahoma City. If they were going to trade Luka, it would be to Oklahoma City. I mean, it would make sense. I mean, if he wants out, they're going to ask for those assets. I know I would. Who wouldn't ask for what Oklahoma City has all the things anybody should want between the young talent and the picks. That's who I would trade anybody to if I was doing that.
I will say though, Joe, I like the negotiation. We're two different types of guys, so I was very much like pushing the envelope, and you're just like, no.
Hold on to these broken bones.
I had fun with that. That was fun. I enjoyed that negotiation. So
I like this idea for the show.
Yeah, it was fun.
You guys like it?
So since we just did
this, because nobody's going to take our stuff. They're going to want those picks. That's the only reason I was like, just give them all.
It is kind of telling, like the 3 different areas that we fell in. Like Ty was, let's change the team, go for it right now. Let's make 2 big deals. Let's go. Me was incremental. Let's add another piece. There's nothing big out there. Let's add another piece. With Eric, it was strange. It kind of went from like, let's blow it up to, is Paul George available? You know, and Paul George, again, that's also an incremental kind of step forward. I think, you know, I could see where you're going with that. Adding Paul George to this team would be nice. Would it make us a championship caliber team? No, but it would be nice. It would be a step in the positive direction. Now, granted, nobody's going to offer him a contract extension. I think he was talking about.
Not what he wants. Yeah, that's.
I could see. Yeah, I could see conceivably making a move for Paul George, depending on what was involved with it and in improving the team.
I think the reluctance was, I like Eric's idea about Paul George. I'm not the biggest Paul George fan, but if they were sitting around Julius, I'd be more prone to get Paul George. I'd keep him for the 2 years. I'd do him for the 2 years that he has left. Figure it out yourself when you're 36 or 38. Who's going to give you that max extension? Fine, go hunt, young man. Put it that way. The reason being, he fits better than Julius. He's just a way better fit. And I'm of the mindset. I know people will always say, "Oh, this league is built around the big center." You know, went from center, and the centers, and then it went to guard. To me, it's always been a wings league. It's never not been a wings league. When you look at some of the greatest players who've won during decades, it's always been a wing-like player. Magic Johnson, the first real wing, so to say, point forward. That is the dude that kind of broke the mold when he came into the NBA. You go to Jordan, played like a wing. You go to Kevin Durant, like a wing. You go to LeBron James, like a wing. Larry Bird, like a wing. I mean, there's more wings than Buffalo Wild Wings and KFC and Popeyes. There's wings. So when you got these kind of things going on, it would be Paul George is who you'd want on this team to be that wing player. Even though he's not maybe at his peak, I take his style of play over Julius's because it would fit well with Brunson. It would be great with Brunson. Are they winning anything big given his health conditions all the time and his age? No. But for team building, I think he fits way better. He can shoot the 3. He can stretch the floor. Him and Brunson together. Anybody mad at that combination? And you can put all. It didn't matter.
There was like I guess it was a 10-year period from the mid 90s to the early 2000s where you had the centers, obviously, right? So you had Hakeem, and then Duncan started to pick up the pace, and then you had Duncan and Shaq, and then Duncan for a little while longer. So you had that big man kind of
Yeah.
dominance for a little while. But Duncan played, I mean, don't get me wrong, he was a big man, but he was so different
Yeah.
that he kind of played like a wing
Yep.
in a lot of regards. We lost Joe.
Sure.
So hopefully he comes back. But I'm going to put this out here because there's another seeing that we're playing GM. Well, GM just made a really, really big deal. Danny Ainge. Not Danny. Who am I talking about? I forget his name.
Brad.
Yeah,
Stevens.
Brad Stevens. Yes, Brad Stevens signed Jaylen Brown to the richest contract in NBA history, a 5-year, $304 million supermax contract extension. Now,
I can't even look at that number.
yeah, I mean, look, I like him enough. Like I like Jaylen Brown enough. I say it all the time. I think he's a very good player. I think he's a guy that can be your second best player in a different kind of scenario. I think in his mind, him and Tatum are 1 and 1A.
Yeah.
And I think for them to take the next step, obviously they made the finals. But to me, for them to be that team, I think he has to just say, okay, Jason, you're the dude. Like, I'll just follow you, where you go. And he could kind of be like the Pippen to Tatum's Jordan.
Yeah.
Like, all right, Joe is back with us. As you see on the screen, Joe, I brought up the Jaylen Brown extension, 5-year, $304 million supermax extension. So we just started kicking that off, talking about it. I think it's ridiculous. He's here.
Okay.
He's here now. I think it's ridiculous. I think the contract is he's not that, for me, he's not that type of player. I don't see him as being a supermax worthy player. I think he's like I said, I was saying to Ty just now, he's very good. He's a good Robin, I think. But I don't think in his mind he believes he's a Robin. I think he believes he's Batman. And I think that's been one of their issues with him and Tatum, because Tatum's kind of a nice kid, right? He doesn't want to rock the boat, kind of like a nice guy. But I mean, what Tatum did in that game where he just went off and dominated, I've never seen Jaylen Brown do that. Like, he doesn't have that kind of, I don't know. So I was saying to Ty, to me, he could be like a good Scottie Pippen type if he accepted that role and just said to Tatum, okay, you're going to be the dude. We're going to flow through you, do everything. But that contract is ridiculous. He's untradeable now, in my opinion. I don't know how they're going to get off this deal if they ever want to. And I'm hoping that this is the last of these deals. I don't think it will be, but I'm hoping. He's got a trade kicker too. Yeah, 15%. Was it 15%?
It's less. They just said it was less than 15%.
Less than 15%.
That's.
Yeah, I mean,
that's just terrible.
Those are my opinions. So the floor is open if you guys want to jump in on this.
Terrible contract. Terrible contract. For me, I mean, I like Jaylen Brown is a nice player. He's a nice player. I just think when this reminds me of a little bit of when, and he's not even the caliber of these guys I'm about to bring up. Just reminds me of that time in the NBA where you saw like the Allen Iversons and Stephon Marbury started getting those huge extensions. At the time, it was like $85 million and $90 million, and the NBA, oversaturated the contracts, and it was just a real bad look. Although those guys were way more better than Jaylen Brown could ever be, in my opinion. But it was the fact that teams needed saving from themselves by offering those ridiculous deals. I think what you're seeing now is the league just not getting it. All the TV money, I understand it's all available, but not that I don't care about Boston. Hey, if they suck for the next 50 years, I could care less. However, long as it's definitely not us doing these kind of goofy deals, I'm more sure. Like I said, Jalen Brunson is going to probably get a serious bag in 2 years also. So we might as well brace that these contracts are going to look this way moving forward. However, if Brunson got that kind of contract, I wouldn't be mad because he is the best player in New York. on the Knicks. He is their best player. So the best player is usually going to get the biggest bag, and that's fine. But when you're talking about paying a guy, or any player, I should say, that is not a superstar, they're at least a one. They're not a one. Jalen reminds me of a two. He's not. I don't think he's a 1A, 1B. I think he's a two, definitive two. I just don't think guys like that should get these kind of contracts because God forbid, Tatum went down, which he did. We saw that, right? Then would that movie play out in the playoffs?
In the game 7, yeah.
And what did he do? Not a damn thing.
He was terrible. Brown was terrible.
He was terrible. And the same thing Eric knows. I said when Julius, had the Heimlich against Atlanta 3 years ago, whatever. And I said, you don't extend that dude. You don't extend them because you pay them for those kind of games. When you get those big contracts, they're getting paid for those kind of games. Game 7s on the line, and you're just going all guns blazed out, and your team is riding on your back. So like we've seen with Brunson, that's why I would give him that money. He's the dude like, well, we're going to go down firing, and I might win this game for us if the rest of us suck. Jaylen Brown don't got that game. He's a great complimentary player. I don't even know if he's a Robin, to be honest.
I think he's a Robin. I would give him that.
He might. I mean, when I think about when we talk granted, I think Scotty's doing some whatever his recreational habits we got to question, but Scotty was a very unique talent.
Defensively.
Defensively, he offered something that was so complimentary to Jordan because it was everything Jordan didn't do or didn't have to do, put it that way. He just cleaned up, whether it was distributing the ball, staunch defense. You knew where his impact was. You saw Pippen and Jordan. You can't say both their names without, you got to say it together. You don't say it really individually when you think about those teams. And you know what Scotty did that was special. I can't say Jalen does that Scotty role where you see when Jalen's in the game, he's giving you Tatum's giving you A, B, C, and he's giving you D, E, F. You don't see that. You see he kind of gives you a little A, gives you a little B. He's like Eric said, he's competing against what Tatum does. And that doesn't make for a great tandem. So now we're saying, okay, can he be a Scottie Pippen? We got to ask that question. Scotty was great at bringing the ball up, distributing. Jalen turned over the ball more than anyone. Was it in NBA history? I mean, he really choked. He was
terrible.
He choked. You don't give somebody who chokes $304 million unless they're doing Heimlich seminars for the rest of the world and trying to save lives. $304 million and you coughed up the ball that many times in a pressure game.
Yep.
I just don't see it. I mean, I just think it's setting a bad precedent when a guy not named LeBron James, and I'm not a big LeBron James fan by any means, but if Steph Curry's not getting that and LeBron's not getting that and Luka's not getting that, you're supposed to be in that category. Jokic is not getting that, and Embiid's not getting that kind of money. This dude is the highest paid player in the league right now, and he's probably not even the top. I don't know. Would you give him the top 15 player?
I wouldn't.
I don't think he's top 15. I think he's probably top 20, maybe.
Yeah, I can make a case for top 20. Yeah,
but I think I can name off 15 guys off the cuff that is better than Jaylen Brown, and that doesn't get you max caliber dollars and the highest paid player in the league. I mean, what are you going to do with Luka Rios? Luka's going to get $100 million a year?
He's going to get the Shohei Ohtani contract in the NBA. That's the next guy I can see getting that kind of a deal. I mean, he already got the Supermax from the rookie extension, which is rare.
He's up for 4 years on that contract.
Yeah. So that deal is going to be, this next one is going to be forget it. So Joe, what was your reaction? Do you agree with us?
I got to pivot on this. We always kind of get in this space where we see these contracts that came out, like Bruce Brown, $25 million, just like crazy stuff that's happening. And it's just a natural progression of things. Mm-hmm. Personally, I'm happy for the young man. I mean, knowing a little bit about him, highly intelligent kid, does stuff with his money. I mean, is a positive force in the world. I mean, there's a lot to like about this young man. His game is good. It's what the market is for him right now. It's crazy. I don't like it, but I think it brings together a much bigger problem with the NBA as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Boston will have over 70% of their cap tied into 2 players. So 13 more players are going to divide up that last 30% of the cap. And this is something that's going to be happening all over the place. So you have like the rich, poor dissolving of the middle class in America. And you also have this now in the NBA.
Yep.
You have minimum contracts like in Phoenix, a couple of guys that are making all the money, and these people that are in between, making marginal money. And it destroys the team concept because everyone is going to look out for themselves to make sure that they are getting their shine so they can be one of those top guys, because the cost of not being that top guy is being one of those mid guys, and the chasm in between that is massive. It's something I think that is corrosive in the league. I think the league is rotting kind of on the inside because of this. It just hasn't really manifested yet, but it's going on. This is something Adam Silver really needs to figure out because it's a problem. Even on Boston, you have KP making $30 million. So again, let's see, that's 12 more people that are probably taking care of 20% of the cap, of their cap. It's crazy. I mean, in no sport, in no team sport, is the single athlete more important than in basketball?
Maybe quarterback. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, but it could also be anybody on the team. It could be any one of 15 people, not just the quarterback. But you're right, the quarterback is absolutely essential. But if you add a LeBron James in his prime to any team, they're going to the finals. That's kind of the way it goes. Mm-hmm. The league's got a real problem, man. I think the Players Association is going to have to look at it. I think the next collective bargaining that they do, I think this is something that's absolutely going to come up. Some people are going to be for it. Some people are going to be against revising this. But it's a problem. So, Jaylen Brown, there are worse dudes that I could see getting $304 million. So I'm happy for the guy, man. He strikes me as a really solid citizen.
He is. From what I understand, he's a nice guy. And this is not even for me jumping on him per se. I just think it's bad league policy. I mean, when you're talking about, I like a league that's competitive. Mm-hmm. And I think for any fan base, even though I'm not a Boston fan, but I know I've been through it, and we've all been through it with Nick Hell, of having bad contracts and wanting to get rid of them. And the fan base ends up suffering because you overpaid. And somebody like even Jaylen Brown, he's going to be noted as this $304 million dude. And every year following this for the next 5 years is, what have you done to even earn that kind of contract? And I know it's a big ego with these guys, but he's not that. I don't want to be a fortune teller. I just don't see him being a top 2 player with this contract. Like, that's who gets this kind of money. These are top 5 players, I would say, in the league get this kind of money to be the best paid, the highest paid player in the league. You should be getting guys. You should be one of the best players, period. Yeah. And it should even be a question mark. And it's like this guy has a bullseye on his back now. When you start talking about the money's in the NBA, and they go, oh, by the way, somebody who's a nice guy, Jaylen Brown seems like a nice guy. Yeah, they Jaylen Brown him, they give him all this money, and the guy's not that good, and he's not that good to be getting. That's what's going to lead to the league. I think people are going to go, it's going to turn off Boston fans. You think Boston fans are not going to say, this dude is getting all this money, and they're going to turn on him. If they don't win a title and he finds a choke moment in the playoffs, which I'm more sure they're going to come, how's he going to stay in Boston? I mean, Julius can barely stay in New York. And, I mean, he has one of the best contracts in the NBA. Boston's fans are worse. Boston and Philly fans are some of the worst fans.
Yep, that's
New York,
fair.
but we're kind. New Yorkers are kind compared to Philly and Boston. And
That's
I'm
a
just
fair
saying,
comment.
when this dude underperforms, which is more than likely going to happen more than him going to a superstar elite level, they're going to turn on him nasty. And I'm just saying, giving these guys this kind of contract, I just think it's going to turn off fans to the league revenue alone. I mean, it's fan driven. I just think that he might deserved it because he met all the criteria to get a max deal. He's just not a max player of this caliber, and I think that to me is the sucky part about him being the first person. I think if LeBron James got this contract and his height and LeBron, nobody's saying nothing about it because they're like, well, that's LeBron James. He can get 30 million, 60 million a year. Wow, that's crazy when I think about that. 60 million.
I know that is crazy to think about.
That's a ridiculous number. And this guy is not that talented. So that's what I'm saying. Like the league does, I agree, Joe. I think there's such a huge problem that they're not. They did these things to keep players on teams, but they forgot about the fans that come to see these players.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, I was gonna follow up with that. They did this to keep guys on their teams that they're on, but then so what the guys are doing now is they're just saying, "I want out." I mean, look at all the guys who say, "I want to leave. I don't want to stay here," and then the teams don't hold their feet to the fire. They trade them. So you're not even honoring that part of it. You're basically just succumbing to whatever the heck they want. And this, again, the theory behind this was excellent. Like, yes, let's be able to give them these contracts that they can't get in on the other team, and they'll stay with us. But that's not proving to be true either. So I don't know what the deal is. Joe, you were going to say something.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I wish I was Jaylen Brown. I'll say that.
I wish he was him too. I wouldn't care what these idiots on podcasts are saying about me.
Yeah, man. It's funny. There's a lot of guys, and on both my personal Twitter account and the All Knicked Up Twitter account, I was following the story yesterday, and I just tweeted out one thing, and I said, or X'd out. I don't know what they call it now. Z did tweeted. He changed it to X. I have no idea. But yeah. But I tweeted out this. When I saw it, I said this immediately becomes the worst contract in the NBA, and everyone's like, "How could you say that?" Like all these Celtics fans. I'm like, look, I said he's not, like you said before. He's not even the best player on your team. No. Like you're talking about a guy who's the second best player on your team, making more money than Tatum. So Tatum's not going to want that next.
Oh, yeah. He's gonna get way
that's
more.
What I mean.
And more.
Right?
I think the number being 376 million.
So I mean,
and Tatum, as much as I love Tatum's a dynamic player, but he hasn't proven to be that dude either yet.
He's had 2 chances.
I'm saying like this is it's just bad for the league. And it's funny that they're not seeing. Maybe they do see it. Maybe it's just so far gone they can't do nothing about it now. But it's just, I mean, look at a guy like Karl-Anthony Towns. And no offense to Cap,
he's getting a supermax too.
Anybody gonna trade for him? Minnesota's stuck with him. They're stuck with him.
John Wall was the first one, right? John Wall was the first guy.
We saw that contract turned out.
Yeah, I mean,
Bradley Beal ends up getting traded now, but they're reaching those kind of contracts. Like you can't move. Like you're holding a fan base prisoner because you can't. I mean, unless you bring back the what that clause they have.
Amnesty,
like $500 million now. I mean, come on, it's like crazy.
I know. I mean, we could talk. This is something we could talk about for on a show on its own if we wanted to. It's a huge topic, and like we said, it's only going to get bigger from here. So we have to see exactly what happens from this and the fallout, and see 2 years down the line how this contract is aging. But like we say, he seems like a nice guy, but now he's got a huge target on his back. So we're gonna see how this plays out. But I thought Joe was gonna say something. But go ahead.
I think he's going to be one of those people that can handle the target. Just his makeup. I don't think he's going to wear that like a lot of other players would. He seems like a really solid kid. I think he. Don't be surprised if his best act is actually after his playing days. Supposedly highly intelligent,
Yeah, he's a smart kid.
good head for business. I think that kid's going to be just fine, personally.
Honestly, if I'm Jaylen Brown, I'm being Rick James on the couch. I'm just going to tell you. You just never gave me that kind of money. I'm putting my money shoes on your couch, and I wouldn't care what you thought about me.
And on that note, folks, I think it's time for us to go. So this was fun, guys. I really like this. Let's be a GM for a day idea. I like the conversation. I like the negotiations we had going on. Sorry, Joe. At first, I stepped on yours. I apologize, but I didn't realize what you were doing until after the fact. So I apologize that I shut up. But this was great. So I want to thank everyone for watching, as always. But really quickly, Ty, let them know where they can talk to you and where they can find us and all that fun stuff.
You can find me in Toxicity on the X Twitter. I don't know what it's called. Gene Scribble. You can also find us on our fan page on Facebook. Come holler at us. Always trying to engage with you guys. Willing to talk. Come join us. Shoot the crap with us.
Joe, you have anything you want to plug?
My new moniker, man. Henceforth, I am Upstate Joe on this show. I'm still not doing Twitter, so you can reach me on the the fan page. And for those of you who are interacting on the fan page, we appreciate you, man.
Definitely.
Yeah, we're definitely seem to be picking up a little more traction there, so that's good.
Yeah.
This show is us doing this is only part of it. That part of it is a big chunk to look at. The people who can't maybe make the show when we're broadcasting, you can always watch the show, guys, on the page, on the All Knicked Up page. So you can always go back and watch it there, and then you can comment and talk to us in the room. Ty put up the thing I said we were talking about, but it's too late in the show now. I'm not going to talk about it now, but let's just say that another Nick will not be having a press conference, and it doesn't sit well with me. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
So let's just do that. This team still is afraid of the media, and it's hysterical to me. But hey, we know why that is. The owner doesn't like the media, and that's where that comes from. So I'm used to it, but I'm still gonna argue it every chance I get. Damn it, I hate it. But yes, check us out there on Facebook, guys. The Facebook, again, the fan group is where we talk and interact. The All Knicked Up page itself, you can catch all of the shows there. That's what we broadcast to both, but that's the one that they stay on. So if you miss any of the shows, you can go back there and check it out, and watch the shows and then interact with us after that point. If you guys want to check me out on social media, you see my information there. At Finally33 is my personal account. At all_Nick_ is the show account. That's where I talk most of my Knicks stuff when I'm on there and interacting with a bunch of the other blogs that people know. Knicks Film School, those guys, and then I forget that one that Alex hosts, but him and his co-host, I talk to them over there. So that's where we catch me for all that information. I also do a show called Straight Outta Gotham. It's a fandom pop culture podcast. You can, if you want to interact with me on that, it's at straight_O_G. That is any kind of, I call it my geeky side. So if you guys want to get at me for comic books or movies or even music, I'll throw music on there. I actually asked the question, which album or artist that you listen to would people be shocked to know that you listen to? Because if they start, or embarrassed. I said shocked or embarrassed. Embarrassing for you. If they knew you listen to it. So that was the Kurt put out there. So if you guys want to do that, you could go check it out and leave your comments. Oh, Joe, you're not on Twitter, so you can't. But Ty, you can. If you want to go leave your comment about which.
Yeah, I was thinking, embarrassed by it.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot, so I could be honest. There's a lot of stuff I listen to that people be like, really? So, but I like having fun like that, throwing things out, throwing
That's
things
cool.
out there. I like doing that every once in a while. So then you can check me out over there. But as for this show, every Wednesday night, usually 8:30. This week was 9. I had to push it back. I had a long day at work, and I had to get something to eat. So that was really why I pushed back the show. But usually 8:30 every Wednesday night, we come on here, we talk Knicks, the team we love to hate, I guess. I don't know, or hate to love. I don't know. We're gonna look at it, but that's what we do. But for now, we're gonna end this one. So for Ty and Joe, I'm Eric. You're watching All Knicked Up. See you next week.